everyone, and welcome to ADEPT Convention 2022's panelist discussion. I am Patricia, the host for today, and I'm from GYIQI. Joining me today is Mr. Jason Low, the CEO and co-founder of Virtual Tech Frontier. Over here, we have Mr. Kawarismi, also he goes by Mr. Kawa, the COO and co-founder of Citizen. And joining us online is Mr. Andy, who is the CEO of GEMS. Welcome, everybody.
Hi, hello.
Hi.
Great to be here.
Okay.
Hi, everybody.
So before we start, let's have a self-introduction of everybody. Maybe we can start with Mr. Jason.
Yeah, sure. So, hi, everyone. I'm Jason. I think I had another session also explaining about how engagements can help businesses in the metaverse. So it's great to be here in this panel session with the esteemed speakers, and also thank you, the moderator, for introducing me. So I run Virtual Tech Frontier, a metaverse development company, and we have been building metaverses for all sorts of corporate clients from different industries for the past few years during the pandemic until now.
Okay.
Right. Hello, everyone. I'm Kawa, the CEO of Citizen Plus. We are real estate metaverse company developer. I'm trained as an architect, so I also run 2 architectural firms as well. So we see that the metaverse is the sort of like a natural evolution of real estate, and we'll see how it goes in the future. Who knows? Yeah.
Okay, great. So the next one, Mr. Andy, would you like to have a self-introduction?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, host. Yeah, so my name is Andy Koh. I'm the CEO of GEMS Esports 3.0 platform, which we are actually leveraging on blockchain, putting on esports. And I think today is a very interesting topic, that the evolution of metaverse for businesses. Hope every one of you will enjoy the panel later on.
Okay, thank you everyone for the introduction. So let's get on to it. So today we'll be discussing the evolution of metaverse in businesses. So let me just give a very short introduction of what I found on the metaverse. So metaverse, if you search online, there are multiple definitions. But what I found, the definition by Cambridge, is that it's the internet considered as an imaginary area without limits, where you can meet people in virtual reality. Now, so let's go to our first question. So what is the current outlook of the metaverse? Is it in the stagnant stage, or is it thriving? Yes. Would you like to?
Yeah. Maybe we can rotate it like the introductions early on, right? So personally, I've been serving like corporate clients since the pandemic until now, and most of it started because corporate companies during the pandemic, when physical events, physical road shows, or any sort of this kind of physical activities couldn't be conducted, these clients will always want to find a way to engage with their consumers. And some of the FMCG clients that I meet, they have like thousands of customers all over Malaysia, and they cannot really rely on like a Zoom platform for them to actually engage with all of them, right? So from that fundamental angle, we started developing these sort of virtual platforms to enable interactions between businesses and also to the target consumers. So moving even until now, when physical events are coming back and things like that, we still cannot break the barrier of physical location. So if my client even wants to spend money to organize an activity in KL, for example, you still have only probably KL people can come, people from the northern, southern, or east Malaysia, very hard for them to come. So there are still a lot of corporate companies, in my perspective, they're still looking for a platform that enables this sort of cross-border, cross-state, even cross-country engagements. And that is still going pretty strong for me right now. Yep. So I don't really feel some stagnation going on my sense. Yep.
Okay.
I think I want to echo the opinion or the outlook that has been shared with the first panelist. Definitely, if you look at the number of traffic or active users in major metaverse platforms, obviously there are news. The active numbers are fairly low, but if you look on the flip side, bespoke or tailor-made metaverse are actually booming. A lot of corporates are engaging metaverse builders, but some of these, specifically if you are talk about developers or real estate players, they have some level of application, maybe up to advocacy, marketing, and branding. But we'll see that the next stage will be a little bit more, engaging towards the customer service, and maybe complement their existing framework of deliverance. For example, the SMP, the memorandum of transfer, or perfection of charge, if it's a stratified development. So we'll see slowly metaverse will seep into this traditional services that developer have to sort of like give their customers. And hopefully some of these activities that usually done physically can be slowly transferred into the metaverse. That's how we see it. But the adoption are fairly in the infant stage, and the next few years, I would say it will go mainstream, definitely.
Okay, I think that's good insights. Mr. Andy?
Thanks a lot. So I think what I'm going to share is, of course, more exciting, right? And which is actually gaming metaverse. If you look at the landscape, right, a lot of software out there these days is still require a gaming engine to go and build a metaverse. For example, Unity, Unreal Engine, right? Whether you are doing architect or whether you are doing a metaverse for whatever, you need a land, right? So let's get back to some basics for the audiences. So there are a few things that you need really for metaverse to easily on board. First, you need to have a piece of land that people can purchase, and then people can start building whatever businesses you want on it. It could be property, it could be event space, it could be a zoo, it could be country attraction. Like today, I want to build the whole Malaysia city, right? But what I see is that then there is a cooperation between the traditional companies and the metaverse company, because like land, you need architect, you need interior designer, you need people to come up with the basics. Then the software can come in, such as if you want to have a virtual reality experience or immersive experience, you will then also need a headset. But even before we talk about that, is first the land, the software, and then the interactive headsets, right? AR, VR. So these three needs to come in terms of the hardware and software part. There's one particular thing that we still need, which is the infrastructure layer. 5G is required, right? Because if we do not have 5G, then you will never be able to really experience metaverse in the way that people want it to be, because it's very bandwidth intensive. The next thing is also what I see is that the price of the AR and VR headsets needs to come down, right? Don't forget, right? In order to really have a more immersive experience, you really need that headset. Otherwise, what is the point of having metaverse? I might as well just do a video of a virtual tour. So I also think that there are a lot of people out there misuse or mistake how metaverse it should be, right? Metaverse should have the immersive experience in a 360-degree view. So that's how I share in terms of the landscape, what I think today, what metaverse need before it can really be exploded.
Okay, so actually from what I've heard from all three of you is that metaverse is definitely something that is thriving and is going to grow even more. But okay, so I did some research, and recently I've seen a lot of news that, like Facebook, metaverse by Facebook is not doing as well. And I think because everyone looks at Facebook a lot, Facebook is like the main platform. So having such bad news from such a big platform, do you think, what do you think is the potential of metaverse for Web3? Because obviously for you guys it's working, but for them it's not working. So what is the potential of this metaverse in the Web3, and how do you think, that there's a potential for investors and brands to jump onto this?
Right. I mean, if you bring in Meta, right, it's because they're called Meta right now, and their whole metaverse initiatives more towards Meta. So if you look at Meta's use case, they are, of course, one of the most high valued company in the world, public listed. So a lot of expectations goes into it, especially when they're claiming a lot of losses. Their news is about losses, share prices. I mean, the whole market technically is not doing too well right now, but people are pointing a lot because they've invested a lot of money towards growing metaverse for the upcoming future. And if they compare it with their revenue advertising model that they're doing on Facebook app itself, of course, the contrast that people are bringing up is definitely painful because you have all of these expectations within the platform, right? However, they are also one of the players that is owning Oculus. Oculus is the VR headset company. They are doing a lot of push towards upgrading the hardware, making sure things are better. So they're betting on a very big future with a lot of public money. So hence why I think the media scrutiny towards it is rather strong. So that, and it's not even available everywhere in the world right now, right? A lot of the corporate clients that I talk to, I mean, you don't hear them suddenly coming to me, oh, I want a Horizon World in Facebook. It hasn't reached that level of awareness across all over the world yet. It's very North American driven. And the results that we see so far is only very American level of statistics. They haven't even launched it globally. So we do not really know what sort of numbers would actually help them in their growth. So that's on Meta side of development. It's way more complex than how we're trying to do it locally over here. But locally over here, we'd like to hear from other people also. For ourselves personally at Virtual Tech Frontier, we have been still getting a lot of requests of brands just trying to be involved. They don't want to feel left out because they've experienced an age where, when initially Facebook, Instagram all came in, and people were just like, oh yeah, maybe just a young people thing. And then from the just a young people thing, suddenly they realized when it became a huge thing, they already too late, everything's expensive, spending advertising is expensive. So now brands, I feel, or companies are more in tune towards what is coming. And then they are very open to like trying something new, as long as the cost maybe is something they still can stomach. So the curiosity of trying to be first movers within the space in Malaysia specifically is still pretty strong. Even in Singapore also, I've been traveling to Singapore a lot. In fact, a lot of the corporate companies that talk about that, they already immediately like put metaverse in their roadmap. Somehow or other, we are going to be metaverse ready as a company. But what does that really mean? Not sure yet, but they are more forward thinking and getting ready to not be left out as they see when social media became a boom and they were too slow to onboard. So that's how I look at things right now in these two different perspectives.
For me, I see Meta is trying to build sort of like the galaxy. So if you are building a Milky Way, obviously it's even harder to build a small city. For example, the things that we build now, at least on Cityverse platform, is really sort of like a small planet or small town that is scattered around. So once Meta is there, sort of mapping out the Milky Way, we will start map out our metaverse inside this whole big universe. Same goes to how website is. I think almost all websites are linked to some sort of Facebook account or Facebook page per se. So that linkage is what they are building. So obviously building a whole ecosystem that can fit or interoperate between that metaverse system is definitely harder, especially when you talk about collectibles, avatar system. Some avatar got legs, some avatar don't even look like human. So definitely there's a lot more things to figure out. So I would say their premature announcement that make their expectation tank or their stock rather, I would say just develop it and then just launch it when you are ready, instead of like giving tidbits here and there and not going to give a whole picture of what Meta is actually building.
Okay. Mr. Andy?
That question is very close to me, right? Because so I would like to also share, if you look at the three tech giants in the metaverse world today, first is obviously host what you just said, right? Meta, Facebook. But then they are really focusing to be the king of social in the metaverse space, social interaction, right? So the second tech giant that I want to like to mention is actually Microsoft. They have been building metaverse and want to become the king of the office, where office workers, companies, partners, they can all collaborate using like AR, VR headset without having the need to travel to offices or go out for meetings anymore. Next, we have decentralized land and also the sandbox, who I call them the king of the gaming metaverse platform. So you guys have to know that these three right there is the tech giant. So before it can really be potentially big business, we need to first have the tech giants to build a platform that enable UGC. Okay, in this era means a user-generated content where contributors, contents maker, and everybody can go out there and build something of what they want. Of course, that involves buying the virtual lands and stuff like that. So I still think we are very far away before metaverse users can be exploded, because the readiness of the infrastructure at the platform level is not there yet, number one. Number two, the understanding of how blockchain and metaverse work is also a challenge right now. But that does not necessarily means that time will not resolve, technologies will not be resolved over time, right? I believe over time it can resolve all these problems where onboarding to metaverse is easier, hardware gets cheaper, implementation of 5G gets wider at a much cheaper price. So infrastructure again, right, is in terms of it can be exploded. You need the platform, right? And then you need the infrastructure. And lastly, you need the hardware, which is come back to the AR and VR set. Like what Jason mentioned earlier on, right? Like an Oculus set right now costs almost 3-digit figure, and I don't think many can afford. Yeah. So if you have these challenges, I really don't see in the next 2 years or even more that metaverse can be explored. That's my personal opinion, just for everyone to know. Yeah.
It's okay. I think there's I saw a lot of Silicon Valley CEOs also feel the same way. Like based on what you guys said, I believe that like building a whole metaverse is hard to do, but if you focus on creating your own, like the what you do, it's still possible for businesses, especially done locally. So with all these opportunities that we have for the future and all these businesses who wants to adopt this new technology, maybe we can have some like encouraging tips for them. So what are some business opportunities that that the metaverse can bring? So maybe you guys can address your own industries.
Yep. So for our side, right? Because me and my team, we've been building this sort of interactive, immersive technology, AR, VR related technologies for the past 7 or 8 years already, actually, right? And whenever we do it for specifically clients with like marketing campaigns, or they have a certain ROI they want to achieve through like a certain period of things. So for me and my team, we've been always trying to R&D different ways to enable engagements for people that actually go onto the digital or virtual platform right now. So what we experienced during the pandemic, for example, people wanting to like react and respond to a lot of clients rather than just YouTube live streaming, people come watch, then they just exit. Like the engagement is just very single layer oriented, right? But for us and with the solutions that we've been building at Virtual Tech Frontier, it's always about, okay, if they go into a 3D world, what more engagement touch points that they can do as compared to they go to a website. Because right now, if you're looking at companies, your options for more matured corporate companies are like either it's your website, you're going to spend like millions to do marketing to a website, and people are going to go to a website, bounce rate is an all-time high, they don't even bother scrolling, finish a lot of your content, right? And then suddenly the website, when you really look at your analytics, it's like very low engagement or very 1 minute they exit sort of scenario. And if you look at even Facebook, for example, we're seeing a trend right now where even Facebook, a lot of engagements are not happening that well. If you have a corporate Facebook page, you go look at a corporate Facebook page, you look at the post, you post organically, how many likes, engagements, and comments you actually get? Because certain algorithms is being controlled by what we call these centralized driven companies, which is what the spirit of blockchain is moving out with, like decentralized content, decentralized control of content. So you don't really get all these big companies trying to control what you show or you spend millions on Facebook marketing just to force the engagement in, right? So for metaverse, which in a nutshell is like a 3D environment, when you have something in 3D, your engagements always will go beyond just scrolling a website, right? You get to go in, you're curious, you're going to check the place out, you're going to interact with certain gamification methods. Fundamentally, transforming this digital experience into like a 3D will immediately improve your engagements. Let's not talk about how many people actually come in first, but if you're really taking into like a Web 2.0 website, pure corporate page, for example, you are definitely going to always see better engagements. And due to better engagements, we believe better ROIs will come to any businesses across industries. And that is where we are really striving to build better experiences within the space. Yeah.
For us specifically, definitely there's a lot of businesses, especially businesses that relates with space or spatial awareness. For example, I'm sure you have heard of Billie Eilish concert. Some concert goers complain about their seating arrangement. This is because concerts are usually sold in sort of like a very plain 2D diagrams, right? But I would say if one organizer start to have implemented like a metaverse solution of you selecting your seat and eventually your tickets and expectation of scale, of realized scale, how far you are from the singer or the stage, people will start, not trusting the 2D diagram anymore because obviously tickets could go up to thousands of ringgit. So they want to ensure that they get the best seat, at least, you are not blocked with a tent or something like that. Other spatial related businesses such as cruise ship, obviously is huge. People can't explore everything, but if you have a metaverse, sort of like a vague or digital shadow at least, not to the level of detail or digital twin, maybe a digital shadow of that cruise ship, you're sort of like able to have a tour, sales tour per se, and then you bring everyone, the avatars, to your facility, your buffet setting, your cinema inside this cruise ship. You might sold a little bit more tickets because the expectation of the purchaser is there. Same goes to cinema. The first 3 rows is hard to sell, but if you could convince them that your cinema layout has been designed in such a way that you can ensure that it's a good viewing to the screen. So you can definitely can optimize your screening as well. So this is a 3 different case users, 3 different businesses. And the most important in all this 3 is actually architectural scale. That's what we are focusing on. So we depend less on gamification. We try to, if you look at gamified metaverse, the door is a little bit larger to let the avatar go through easily. Definitely some of this gaming scale. But in our case, we try to make it as close as possible to actual scale. And we are, as an architect, we are also anal about scale, definitely, scale and proportion. So to a certain extent, we see that real life representation has certain case users in this case. So when we say we are real estate metaverse company, we are not just honing into buildings or just apartment units per se, but anything that relates to space. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is some of the things that businesses can adopt.
Okay. So decentralization, managing expectations.
Yeah, more or less.
And Mr. Andy?
So earlier on, I was explaining on the infrastructure layer, the platforms and stuff, and we probably know what is the requirement right now. So if I do explore, if I'm going to define metaverse, right, I believe the hosts and the moderators have different thoughts, right? Yeah, but if I'm going to define metaverse, right, I want to put in a very simple term. It's basically a virtual world that people, companies, government officials can live, work, shop, play, and interact with one another at the comfort of their couch in our current physical world by wearing an AR and VR headset. So if we don't have the immersive experience, to me, that is not metaverse. It's just a virtual tour, right? But virtual tour has already taken its place since long time ago. It's just how do we connect the VR right now, the virtual tours, like even like for property, we started with 360-degree view. Then the property sector wasn't happy. They say, hey, we need to have control buttons, right? Then we start exploring, like I double click, I get to see. So it is also happening for the same industry from property and gaming and also social interaction, which is why I think what Meta want to do is to build the next social interaction, right? So my next take is that I feel that we also mentioned about avatars. There are certain things that we need. So in the metaverse right now, besides the platform, besides the infrastructure, actually the market is somehow already have the readiness to go on to. And do not forget, there are already a lot of VR games available in shopping mall wearing the headset. I believe this has been in the market for 10 over 15 years. So all we need now is a platform like Meta of Microsoft or either Sandbox and Decentralized Land that they can start to build their this VR software or games or virtual tour on the land. And when this land is so big and everybody start building, I think that's the time where it will allow all businesses to be onboarded, right? Because just think of it, how we build a country in a universe landscape is the same. We just bring it up to online, and metaverse is built on top of the internet. Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, AR, VR, right, with the metaverse. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, actually, I have this question as well, like, because AR, VR, metaverse, they're different things, right? But like they may be used together. And I've read like some people, like some companies, they would prefer like AR, VR over metaverse. So like, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's good to clarify the terminologies first, right? So AR stands for augmented reality, VR stands for virtual reality. If it's mixed together, you call it MR or XR, which is like mixed reality. And metaverse, you should see it more as like the application layer. So AR, VR is how a user interact with a specific thing. So augmented reality would mean that it's either you always have that physical element, then you implement like this digital virtual layer on, like example, an Iron Man vision, you get all this 3D info. So that's like an AR experience, right? So that's one experience of its own. Virtual reality is when you have the headsets, you have the Oculus, everything is virtual. There's nothing real world that suddenly come in between. Not like AR. AR is like real and virtual mix. Virtual reality is pure 100% virtual. You're experiencing everything in virtual. And the metaverse actually is not really that sort of like hardware experience. A metaverse is like an application, or you can call it like a meta app, for example. So it's either you can use, if Meta have an AR function, like, okay, yeah, like your Instagram filters, all those emoticon thing, filter is change your face into something else. So that is some form of AR technology. So you see that as an AR technology in Instagram app. If VR means it's a pure VR zombie shooting game in a VR app. And the metaverse technically is a software layer, right? It's a software layer of things where, as the third panel speaker mentioned earlier on, it's like a combination of multiple things. You have your world, you have this interaction, you can shopping, you can play game. So it all depends on what that software application layer is and how you're going to experience it. If you're using a mobile phone browser to access it, means it's a web-based experience for a metaverse. AR meaning you have that two virtual and real layer experiencing the metaverse, and then virtual reality only you have a full 3D immersive experience into the metaverse. So I think that is the best way to differentiate. Technically, metaverse is not together with AR, VR, it's just that application software layer. And then how you want to access it, that one's a different story where different companies are coming out with different methods to enable access into the metaverse. Yeah, you have anything to add on to explain about it?
I would say definitely all these are built on PCs. And the best way, if you want to experience the highest fidelity of texture and geometry, definitely PC is the way to go.
PC and VR, the full thing.
But definitely people are want that mobility. That's why some of these metaverse are ported into mobile apps or
standalone VR headsets also can, or website browser.
The not the problem, like the challenge is really the hardware. I mean, the phones have so much RAM, graphic compute unit is not as good as PC or desktop. So as same goes to Oculus, there are some limitation if you put up super heavy metaverse or experiencing super heavy metaverse glitching. Some geometry might not seen as stable and whatnot. There's some texture issue as well sometimes. So definitely those application of AR, VR really hardware related, but metaverse as a whole is as Jason mentioned, is software related. But definitely in the future, as the hardware become more available, chips become better, faster, smaller, we can even have those augmented or virtual component in our wearables, specs, hats, and some of our elements of our clothing. So that is definitely a bit far off. But for now, it is all about options. You have the metaverse, so how you want to experience it? You want to experience mobile, PC,
VR headset, mobile phone.
So it's options how you want to experience it. So from that core, you can actually choose and experience depending on the first person, third person, or second person point of view. So basically, it is a choice that metaverse developers have to make.
I read the research paper. Someone's like developing contact lens, virtual AR in the contact lens. So it's like contact lens, and you're gonna enter your virtual. I don't know how will that come into fruition also. Yeah.
That sounds exciting though. I would try. Mr. Andy, do you have any add-ons on top of what they have shared?
Yeah, I like to make things simple for the audience to understand, right? VR today, let's talk about AR today. I think AR very much developed 20 years ago, where basically you have a phone. So instead of when you on your camera, right? Not trying to promote any iPhone, it's just my phone, right? So if you point over something, over a camera, you can see additional things come out. Like last time, say, hey, I can have a dinosaur on my hand, but there's no dinosaur. But you need to see through something to see another thing, right? That's augmented reality during my time, right? Then we have virtual reality where you actually put that headset right now. So the terms and technology keep changing, you see. If I'm going to put it in simple way for everyone to understand, considering AR was very much developed earlier, actually AR is more like a software for you to enjoy the immersive experience. And VR is actually required a headset. But you can have both the software and hardware, which is having the virtual reality, and enjoy it and use it in metaverse, which is why end of this year, we also some of the tech giants manufacturer is also going to launch like the Apple Glass. You can actually then see more things of what your human eyes can see, right? You can create a dinosaur, you can create a dog, you can create anything right in front of you. So I really think that, and that cost is probably might really disrupt the current onboarding users to metaverse, because when the hardware is ready, means you can start to enjoy a metaverse very fast, right? Yeah.
Okay. So my next question is actually like for businesses who are interested in all these metaverse technologies. So is it better if they create a team to create this metaverse for themselves, or is it better if they outsource?
Well, I mean, hiring for my own team was so challenging already. Not too sure how SMEs out there are gonna like hire a metaverse team, right? So typically, I'll just give a brief explanation of how client relationships work with us right now, right? So there are a few things to look at it. If you're planning to join like a metaverse platform, like Meta, okay, got Horizon World, you can really go in Roblox, create some map with Roblox. If you're into crypto, you can go buy Sandbox land, this land. So that is kind of technically easier, which one person from a company, if you're going to assign that fellow to do it, they basically go to this other platform, create a virtual world on it. If you guys have played Gather Town before, it's like a 2D Zelda version of like all these maps, right? That one really, one guy could do it, right? Go in, all the tools are there, the platform is ready, they just choose the map, choose what to edit, put logo, put company, boom, something like that. You kind of have your virtual space already. But if you're planning to like with bigger corporations, they don't really want to go join other people's platform. They want their own. They want to have custom 3D, custom buildings, custom cities for themselves, for example. That's when they have to reach out to like studios like us, for example. Really go in and find, because building a metaverse is not like building a website to a certain extent. You have a lot of elements like the 3D planning, concept art, all the calculation, scaling, all this like expertise that only architecture firms or like interior design firms only they will know one. It's not simply let's just do some square and then one menara and then okay, counting already. So the process is very multidisciplinary. You got your art side, then you got your tech side, then you want multiplayer, someone let's say you want multiplayer, then you got cybersecurity. It actually, like even for my company to build a custom metaverse for a corporate client, it involves art, back-end tech, server and networking, cybersecurity, like everything in a nutshell. And for any corporate company that think they want to start their own team like that, it's actually a huge hurdle for them to achieve something like that. So typically, my usual advice is either you join a platform, which is much easier, or if you're doing it online, you either probably reach out to one of us to actually figure out all this for you. Because if you just go in from scratch and without experience, it's going to be very hard for the company to actually see something happen. From that, that's from my take. Yeah.
I would say if your company has a lot of SKUs or you're always changing your offering, there might be a need. But with that being said, it also have to reflect on your business viability as well. If you are a developer, for example, you are launching 20 projects a year, there might be a case of having your own metaverse company. But on the flip side, if you took external consultant, you have to remember these external consultants work with other developers outside your organization. So some of those ideas that they have been consulting with other developers could be brought into the project that can't be concocted by the internal team. So there's also a balance of between, having a bit more control of your metaverse, but at the same time, bringing fresh new ideas from external consultants. So for them to think about how they're going to go about their business. Really.
Okay. And Mr. Andy?
Yeah, so I think we have the two guys explain basically the whole resources that's required. I shan't go on that further. But on my take, right, if we're going to look at how metaverse can be applied, I think it, and at both government, commercial level and personal level, it can all be integrated, right? Which is why earlier on I mentioned the tech giants, right? The social, the office, and the gaming. These three are very big. There's ultimately still going to be like the Google version of metaverse, right? You need to have that platform right now, which people in future can search everything within that metaverse land, right? So I really think the market now is all growing together, and these three industry that we can apply metaverse on, we need companies like the host, we need companies like what Microsoft, Meta is doing, because tech giant is to put everything together. But companies, business, and government, through metaverse, I truly believe that it helped them to bring the level of experience better. And also, like Zoom, right? To me, it's not a metaverse. It's actually like metaverse. I'm seeing you here and I'm seeing you there, right? That's why we can have Zoom meeting. It helped to resolve certain office problem. It helped to resolve certain commercial issues. Like now, I want to see like 10 properties now, right now. I can't be traveling 10 times at one go, right? What if we can use metaverse, we can use a virtual reality to let people experience the property just like though they are at the site. And they can make a decision faster and they can do a comparison even. Because like what Jason mentioned, right? We can add controls. We can let them do WASD, means we can move left, move right, as good as been there. So if you ask me, I think in terms of application, private, government, and and big tech company are all collaborating to build these solutions. And end of the day, all we need, like I say, is just a land parcel for everything to be put together.
Okay. So for all businesses, like it's possible to do it in-house. If you are jumping onto another person's server, it's definitely doable. But if it's like if you want to create your own metaverse, then you definitely have to outsource lah. And with the help of like the government and other developments as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
okay, so on to the next question, which is what are the current challenges that are faced by businesses and consumers who are trying to adopt this metaverse, and how do we tackle that challenge?
I think one of the most common challenge that I typically hear people want when they want to get involved in the metaverse, right? It's fundamentally at our current stage, there is not too many ways for someone to onboard into a metaverse. Like you see, we already mentioned a few of the platforms, a few of the tools. But if I ask you later, after this recording is done, you go create a metaverse for IQI, Joy IQI, for example. What will you do? Right. Like then you're like, okay, panelists also tell me already actually got this platform. And then you realize when you really go to even the platforms that we mentioned earlier on, it's not that straightforward also one, right? And then, but if you want to engage us as a service company to build like a metaverse for you, also not that simple. You start the process of like, oh, we need to figure out requirements, we need to know what you want, meetings, meetings, and then when you come out, tengok the budget, wow, so expensive. For example, it's not even a cheap endeavor like a website or an e-commerce website. It's always something that involves time, cost, and money. And this is where a lot of companies, when they get to a certain extent of understanding the true efforts needed, for example, to do something like this would be a huge challenge that a lot of SMEs, for example, might not be able to get on board. I've been involved in so many talks, right? Giving talks, and a lot of SMEs always come, hey, how do I help I'm a smaller brand, but I want to stand out, and they believe that metaverse might be a way for them to stand out. But then when they realize the implications of like deploying the metaverse of their own selves, it's usually a bit harder. So there are a few more companies out there, and even VTF ourselves, we are working towards like building a platform that enables easier metaverses creation, easier and cheaper metaverses creation for people. And we believe that the way to do it is really to like templatize a few methods. So for example, if you're familiar with Canva, for example, last time even to do graphic design, you gotta learn Photoshop, learn Illustrator. That itself is like a huge learning curve. You cannot use Microsoft Paint, right, at the end of the day. But then Canva came, and Canva was like, okay, we got a lot of templates here, right? 10 templates. You want like a event promotion template? That's all. Change your title, change your logo, boom, suddenly you also can be a designer. So if a boss asks you to do graphic design, suddenly you look at Canva, you look at how other people are using all these sort of like fast templated ways to do it, and it's free / very cheap somehow. VTF personal opinion, not the industry opinion as a whole. If we are able to enable the metaverses to be easier and way cost effective for people to adopt, there will be a challenge that we can solve to enable adoption more massively. So through a platform like that, I know some companies out there are trying to do platforms like this. So that is my personal opinion, and where VTF thinks you can move forward to solve the challenges and difficulties that people are having in terms of getting onto the metaverse right now. Yep.
In our case, we are definitely looking at the pain points of the business. So if there is no pain point or no actual issues to be solved, we're not going to shove metaverse into their face, because some things are just easier on a Web 2, 2D website kind of situation. So we are at the moment, because of the way that the market are, we understand it is a huge capital expenditure to spend on metaverse. We will have to somehow customize each metaverse according to the customer's needs. So, example, if payment gateway, they have a secure payment gateway on their Web2 website, we can just have that external link towards that. So we're not going to abandon their existing infrastructure, but if they want to have some of those infrastructure, for example, 2D chatbot and all this in the metaverse, it is possible to do as well. We just need to ensure that they have a clear roadmap. Maybe early on, it's all about advocacy, product understanding, and then if they want to start transporting some of the features from their Web2 into an actual 3D environment, that is also possible. So what we want to do is to give them an easy or low threshold to enter, and then eventually, as they experience it, maybe like half a year or 2 quarter or 3 quarter, they start to see engagement got better. What they call it, the transfer rate from visit to actual purchase got better, then they were willing to spend a little bit more. So the idea is really to keep it, easy. And I would say this is a very early stage, advocacy stage, I would say. And definitely what we want to do is to make it mainstream first to a point where the Roblox generation grew up. I mean, if they play Roblox, it's a game, and then it's already 3D. When they see Maybank to you is actually a 2D site, they're not going to accept it. Mm-hmm. And then we also have digital banks with digital licensee that don't have a physical presence. So this is some of the avenues that we see. People will start expecting all website, all engagement with brands or companies in the future will be 3D. So slowly, some of these early or pioneers definitely will benefit because as a first movers. But to ensure that we incentivize their movement from 2D website to 3D, I think a hybrid solution is needed.
Okay. Mr. Andy, your thoughts?
Okay, yeah. So just want to clarify, right? When we say metaverse, we have to be specific. Are we enjoying metaverse with VR? Or are we just talking about a piece of land that you don't need any headset? It's totally two different things, right? Like earlier, we talk about exploring properties, right? Using a virtual kind of experience, and you have some control like WASD. So that is not really metaverse, right? When you say metaverse, it must have the immersive experience, which right now is still require a headset, or Apple it require that Apple Glass lens, right? Or HoloLens, Microsoft HoloLens. So that being specific, first I like to dissect first. Metaverse itself, if you just want to build a land and then you want to do control on it on the virtual world, you can do it. Anybody can do it right now. I mean, with today's standard software, in the interior or the design companies or the gaming, they already have. But if you want to make it to have able to control or to move around, then you need a gaming software engine, right? Like Unreal and Unity. That's where you can then control how you want to do it, or there's interaction. Finally, when you want to have the virtual experience, that's when you require that headset to really enjoy that immersive. I don't see any challenges at all right now. In fact, I see interior designs, architect, game developers, they are all going to work very closely together. Why? Because first, like you build the design, you landscape, and then maybe you need the producer to like, or story editor or whatever, to come and scope out how the whole cinematic experience is. Finally, we throw it to the game developers to develop those control or how you want to explore that area. So if I see it's a glue between the gaming sector and the construction sector together, and that is very huge. I feel. To me, there's no challenges. It's growing, you see. The only bottleneck that I mentioned earlier on is the 5G. Because it's very bandwidth intensive. I just give an example. A AAA games that is built on metaverse require a VR headset. It's almost 45 gigabyte just to download. So metaverse will help to even grow the market in the IT world. Why? Because more spaces are needed, more higher graphic computing power is required, more CPU power is required. Because don't forget, right? We actually know that laptops has overtaken PC, but because of metaverse, PC will come back again, and that's what we want. because today's IT dominate the whole global economy of quite a big section. If they're going to crash, the economy will be pulled out again, and that's what we don't want. And that's why we want metaverse, because then a lot of industry, and these are high net worth industry. Property is one of the most a highly sought after industry that wants to onboard and use the immersive experience technology in metaverse, because it really changes a lot of things. That's how I feel. So challenges is only the infrastructure layer, but at the other level, I don't think it's challenges. In fact, it's an opportunity, and it's a market that can help to prevent the next GFC, which is global financial crisis. And
Okay.
don't forget, sorry, just add on, right?
Yes.
A lot of people don't understand why metaverse valuation is at $8 trillion. I already mentioned property, IT, just these two market alone, and technology, right? When I say tech company, means I'm referring to Google, Microsoft, Facebook, and stuff like that. So those are those tech companies. So with these three industry, that's why it's worth so much. People don't understand and say, how can the virtual world valuation be worth so much? But because the problems that it's going to solve at the three industry, that is why 8 trillion is on metaverse right now.
Okay, so with all of these opportunities, right? There's only from what I'm seeing online is that there are a few things where businesses can leverage on through the metaverse to like gain money, basically. So one of them is like NFTs, performances, like digital wearables, or like they basically market their companies. So do you have any predictions of what other opportunities are to come for like other companies to grow there on the metaverse?
Prediction wise, I feel that because if we really look at the global landscape, even like the Malaysian landscape, companies that have adopted all these new technologies still actually very, very little. I mean, I do know we don't have official data of it, but as compared to, for example, companies that are on websites, companies that are on social media, they have their Facebook pages, all those, being involved in like Web3 or NFTs or like the metaverse is still a very, very small group of companies. And it's still a lot of companies that's very curious about it. They want to get involved into it, but they haven't really made the transition yet. So in this essence, if we do see like few years down the road when more of these sort of key studies and technologies are being out there, you guys are also talking about it. A lot of companies, so that's how they do it. They get more inspired and also have more ideas on how they can be involved, right? So getting involved in increasing the number is something that will progressively happen. Is why I look at it. Because even though all these opportunities are there, all these companies are also not really on there yet. They still do not understand a lot of things, so they need to come, attend this session, for example, understand things a little bit more, and then they would then know better how they can get involved. Because all these still have a lot of untapped opportunities that I think these companies can get involved with.
Okay.
For me, I would say creating values through collectibles or NFT will become less and less important, and minting or secure it or mint it on a blockchain will be a standard in the future. So you need to derive value from somewhere else. It can't be just keep on this speculation market to, for the lack of a better term, fabricate value out of these digital assets. Digital assets, minted digital assets, or off-chain digital asset will be a standard. So the only difference is one with ownership, one with no ownership to back it up. So the value will actually come for real life business, I would say, as you pack or you reflect, for example, a metaverse of a real estate. That metaverse of real estate will derive value from the actual real estate. For us, we look at a little bit more closer to actual business. So that's why we don't focus on selling digital land or collectibles per se. We want to ensure that businesses have some relatable, tangible values in real physical environment. Hence, we adopt a bit more a hybrid situation, a phygital approach, I would say, physical and digital, trying to work together so that they see that some of their existing products can be offered in metaverse. So we want them to somehow go through this intermediate phase And then eventually, if they decided to go all out digital, for example, selling digital apartment, digital building, it's totally up to them. But for now, to ensure that they have the understanding, we want to make it a little bit more hybrid environment per se. In the future, definitely predictions, nobody knows. I'm also not sure how long the bear market gonna last. Definitely, if we have obviously Ethereum has become a little bit more efficient chain right now. And in the future, who knows? Ethereum could be seen as a dinosaur as we have a far more efficient, faster, leaner chain in the future. Only time will tell. Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Andy?
Yeah, so I work in the blockchain space, right? And I've been advocating this. So this is something, again, a very interesting topic for me. So I'd like to first explain what is NFT in case of some of you may not even know by watching this convention. So think of it that anything that is physical today, be it like a picture of this drink box, right? Like this is a real physical product. I can take a picture, okay, and then put it to a website, and then the website will process it, and these are called NFT, basically transforming anything that is physical into a digital asset, and then you can actually own it. And how do you own it? We will have a digital wallet where then you can put this inside your wallet. So I hope that first explain what is NFT, which is why even in the property market, they are saying you can actually fractionalize your property into NFT. Instead of $1 million for the property, you sectionize into parts, like 100 parts. And then one part may be 100,000. And what if I can digitize it and I can give you the ownership and keep in your digital wallet? Do not forget, right? Digital wallet, you can keep it for a very, very long time. These are not paid. These are not like papers, they get old and stuff like that, right? It's in your computer. It's stored in the hard disk, right? So I want to explain again so that everyone clearly understand how NFT digital wallet works. First part. The second part is when we have a big land and we start building Malaysia, Singapore, or we build the whole countries out, then we start putting shopping malls, we put the street name, Kuala Lumpur, PJ, JB, Kedah, and stuff like that. Then what if we also map out the house, the office, the school? Once these are all done, what can we do with it? The question mark, are we just going to explore it for fun? No, right? That's where NFT comes in, right? All these little things in the house, in the room, I can take a picture and I can make people to buy it. So I can today buy then don't forget, right? Before you can enter the metaverse in future, you will need to create a profile. After you create a profile, you need to avatar yourself, right? Earlier on, we mentioned this. So, but avatar is just one part. You will need to buy this NFT like a Nike shoes. But instead of real Nike shoes, you buy in the virtual world. These items are called NFT. So you buy it, and then I can actually skin it. I can wear it, and then when another person or my friend wearing the VR headset, they can see that avatar with that Nike shoe, with maybe a Gucci bag or Prada. So these are all what I meant by physical into digital assets. And then in order for you to enjoy the experience in the virtual world, and you want to show what your friend is, what you're wearing, or what car you're driving, I cannot be bringing the Lamborghini or Ferrari up to the metaverse world. There's no metaverse world, right? Metaverse is a virtual land, is a virtual world. So just want to make sure that everyone clearly understand that, especially those that is so new to this. And earlier on, the host too mentioned there's a monetization involved, right? Physical, online, retail shops are being taken over by online shopping. Metaverse provide the third level of experience where you can shop in the virtual world and buy these things because your friends will be seeing you in the virtual world by VR headsets in future. Remote working have make the future to have more and more digital nomads while being able to connect to one and another using AR and VR headset in the metaverse. But NFTs are important because it creates a whole new ecosystem of digital assets, and the current businesses are still able to leverage and yet prepare for the future.
Okay. All right. So thank you everyone for the insight. So we'll wrap this up with a final question for all of you. So as a pioneer in this industry, can you give like closing thoughts on the metaverse?
Right. So I think through all the panelists, we kind of agree that it's a very infancy stage sort of like um, engagement right now, especially in the digital world, right? It's only because Mark Zuckerberg came, changed everything to Meta, and it's like a lot of people start to be aware of it. But if really we talk about like the word itself, metaverse, it's like a very old novel called Snow Crash. Already started about sci-fi movies, novels, all talk about this sort of like virtual worlds, digital twins, and things like that already. It has been going for some while, but right now, real world execution and implementation into it is still rather new. Not too many companies are trying to push for it yet. If you compare like the metaverse to like mobile app development or even games, even the gaming industry is like way bigger than the metaverse industry. So we still need to kind of give it some time. And then for all the early adopters and early innovators that believe in the space, we do see them having like great growth going down the road rather than they trying to come in much later and to see how things goes. Always, I believe that first movers in this space will reap the most benefits and rewards. And we still have to be very bullish about the idea and continue executing and give the best we can so that the industry will actually thrive in the future. Yep.
I think for businesses that venturing into metaverse, I would say you have to be clear. I think clarity to see where metaverse could fit into your existing business model is important, or even have another branch of your existing business as as a new venture or a subsidiary maybe. So the idea was really to ensure that you solve and complement your existing business to a certain extent. Obviously, metaverse is also a tool for business, and we want to actually move from just engaging potential customer or educating potential customer to actual servicing the customer. So if you look at some of the physical restricted activities that you have, for example, your shop is not that big, maybe you can transfer half of the shop and you can downscale the physical size of the shop, for example, is a worthy venture into metaverse, then you should take the leap. But we always say that if you want to get into the space, first you need to be clear where you're going, because we want them to feel the metaverse is an added value to their business and not like an additional expenditure to their business, and they become frustrated and demotivated to even venture into the metaverse space as technology grows in the future. So if they feel demotivated right now and better technology came, let's say next year, they will not, okay, I tried that before, it doesn't work, I don't think it's for us. That sentiment could last 4 years, just like how you think Proton car are still having these bad windows, right? Power windows, even though they are not true anymore. But that sentiment that lasted for 20 years are carried towards today. Same goes to how you feel AirAsia is a budget-friendly airline, but if you look at certain circumstances, it's actually not. So that is fairly important. So in our case, we want to make sure that they feel motivated and have some level of faith in the technology, so that in the future, as new technology comes, they will adopt them and then improve their metaverse that they have today.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Andy.
Yeah, I will just have one word for you all to associate for those that are wanting to explore metaverse is immersive. That's the word I want to say about metaverse. Why? Because immersive experience, you can experience things in a different world, in the virtual world, and you can actually do more things, right? Also, immersive shopping, immersive interaction. So everything that you want to see of what your normal human naked eyes cannot do, you can do it by wearing a VR and do tons of things there. But if I want to relate or put a business industry that is close to metaverse, and I feel that this business sector is very big, is actually the NFT shopping part. Because when people start to be able to experience, they need to have activities. And if you don't have activities, and activities can lead to social interaction, can lead to monetization, which these two parts right now is probably one of the biggest thing that people do, right? Why I say that? Social interaction. Look at all the our WhatsApp, our these social chat tools, right? Almost every one of us do it, and a lot of users are from there. But what if you can take that into the next level? Because they already have a users, they have already have already users. So what if we take that into a next level? So I really think you need to look at what are the current users in the market can leverage on such technology and they want to use it, right? The social users. That's why I say the social interaction. Next is the shoppers. The social shoppers, it could be a property, right? It could be a property buyer. It could be aircon buyer. Because when you don't want to go to the shop, you want to see how my aircon look like in my house, or today I changed my wall color, how it look like. I can do that in a metaverse world, right? So I think the shopping part is very big as well because NFT is evolving, and NFT right now is the mass bridge for people onto blockchain, right? Of course, in view of this, I don't want to mention cryptocurrency. I just mentioned blockchain. And so that's why everything is immersive. And the way I see it is that right now we already have users of this that's ready to onboard. It's just that it need more and more companies like what the two hosts are doing to start with very basic thing first: virtual reality, VR, touring, experiencing. Then later on, when the platforms are ready, then we can onboard this company over. But if you don't even take a first step in transforming your business to a virtual reality, then we don't talk about metaverse. But bear in mind, it is the future. Whether we like it or not, it is going to be. I grew in an era of website. I think I'm not sure, like the both of you, but nobody believed website will explode. Like, no, it's not possible. I want to feel the shoes. I will never buy it on the online. Never. But it took 20 years. Why it took 20 years? Of course, because of Web 1 to Web 3, but also because it takes for many companies to slowly transform, but not for metaverse. There's already users that are highly equipped, they are very high tech, they are very savvy. It all starts with the social chat thing, right? So onboarding now is going to be much faster from Web 1 to Web 2. And Web 2 to Web 3 is super fast. That's how I see it. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for all the comments. So that's a wrap. Thank you to Mr. Jason, Mr. Kawa, and Mr. Andy online. So today, to wrap up this, our title again, the evolution of business metaverse in businesses, and I bet the audience have learned a lot. I have. I have learned that how to jump on the metaverse and how to leverage the metaverse for your own businesses. So I hope the audience has enjoyed today as much as we did. So that's all for today. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you,
Bye.
host.
Thank
Bye bye,
you.
everybody. Bye bye.